So today is April 3rd. We're starting the ACBA monthly meeting for April and calling to order at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So starting with old business, with the secretary report. Jennifer, what do you all have?
Hold on, I'm opening up. I thought I was ready, but apparently I wasn't.
That was me scrambling at the last minute to get my stuff done before I came on the meeting.
Bree, do you want me to do the treasurer's report since it's super quick?
Yeah, we
Give
can
them a
start the
minute.
treasurer's report.
Okay, so nothing has changed in the previous month. The account balance is sitting at $2,150.97. And I believe we're just waiting on a couple of small reimbursements, which should be in the noise. So I did make a decision. I was just thinking about this, and if you all have an opinion, let me know. But the annual report, I was hemming and hawing between doing it with the calendar year, and then I started to put it together and realized it probably makes more sense for us to just do our fiscal year based on when we started the organization. So we do have a bigger picture of what our first year looks like. And if someone wants to change it to calendar years later, then that could be the next treasurer's business. But I think if we stick with the full year, that would be a lot better. So
Sounds
that
good.
would put the annual report after, I think, when do we start? August? Somewhere around then?
I think, yeah,
We started collecting payments, I want to say earlier than that,
well,
Okay.
but I can go back and check too.
Well, when
Okay,
were we
I can look at that as
originally
well.
formed? We were formed in like September, right?
I think so. I think we started
Officially?
pre-collecting before it was officially formed. So we could go off of when we started collecting the first dollar or when it was officially formed.
okay, let
But
me
I think
look at-
official formation might make the most sense.
Yeah, that was, well, when was that? It was like December when it was finally done, wasn't it?
Was it December?
August 5th was when we took our first member.
Okay. Are we good with just going with August 5th then? So
Sounds good.
we'll do August to July. So we'll call end of July, I guess, the end of our first year.
Sounds good.
Good.
Okay. That's what we'll do then. So I'll put all the official report together next August then, and that'll give us a bird's eye view of the first year. Because I don't think too much is going to change between now and then anyway, but at least then we'll know rolling in dues, what it looked like, the initial burst of member signups, and then how many kept signing up each month after that and things like that. So that's where we're at with Treasury.
Sounds good. We'll go back to secretary's report.
Well, just to recap, last month, we had everybody give their reports, but then we also brought Mason on as the new youth committee head and listened to his ideas, what he wanted to implement into the group. And then we discussed the SOP and the Pips and Chicks show. I almost said that really wrong. And then we finished up our discussion on the New Mexico legislation.
Okay. Is there any other secretary's report?
I did get the holiday show ribbons all finally finished and sent out, except for Rebecca's. I forgot to take hers to lunch the other day, so I'll bring it next time.
Okay, moving on to vice president update.
Okay, we have 111 total members, 13 juniors, 54 basic, and 44 professional. And that's about all I have. I did get together a list of the junior members for Mason, and I can get that to him later on after the meeting.
Awesome. Moving right into the youth committee. So Mason has some updates with that.
All right. I wanted to say the first thing we're going to start implementing is our Junior Member of the Month program. Basically, what we'll do in that is we'll select randomly one of our junior members and highlight them probably in our newsletter. We'll contact that member or their guardian, however we can get in contact, ask them what they hope to learn through the ACBA and what they might like to see the ACBA do, and have some information about what they do. Maybe they sell eggs to the neighborhood, or they like raising meat for the family. Just get a little blurb about what they do and what they like about it, and slap that in our newsletter.
I think that's an excellent idea.
Yeah, very excited for that. So that it sounds like that'll be happening as soon as next month, you said? Okay. Normally we'd have a newsletter update, but Carrie's not on tonight, so can ask him to post in the Facebook group too if he has anything. So that is all for old business. Moving on to the Standard of Perfection update. We've got some pretty big news with that. We're going to be publishing it and releasing it next month. So it will be the first official draft, and it's going to include the standard itself, history that's been reviewed and looked over quite a bit. It'll include disqualifications, defects. It'll include information on proposals for how to submit changes, and general show structure for setting up things, people looking to get started into actual shows. So there's still, if you're in the Facebook group, we put out a post for drawings or for reference images for drawings for different defects and disqualifications. We're working on getting drawings started. It's going to take a while. It likely won't be put into this first draft right away. So all of the drawings we take a whole bunch of the pictures, send them to an artist who draws it when they can, brings it back to us. We have people that look it over, say if there's any little tweaks that need to be made before it can go in there. So a little bit of a process. Drawings will be a little bit, but the general show structure and all of the information for the actual meat of the standard, what the bird should look like, and etc. Arguably the most important parts are all going to be there. So yeah, if anyone's got images for that, the biggest things we were looking for were still like keel bone defects, general back defects. So like back is too flat, roach back. Trying to think off the top of my head, bumblefoot we also needed some more pictures of. So if anyone's got pictures, send them into one of the officers and we can get that in there. Moving on to other new business. So we had some more interest in shows. So Jennifer, if you want to talk a little bit about that.
So Lindsay, she's in Paducah, Kentucky, contacted me, and it's a brand new club putting on their first show in June and wants to include quail. So she's looking to us for guidance on exactly what is needed, what the judge would be looking at. And so I gave her a couple of ideas, told her we were having a meeting tonight. The judge is Ben Porter. He's pretty easy to get along with. So I have her contacting him to make sure that he's okay with it and what questions he would have. And then I told her I would get back to her tonight after the meeting.
Yeah, so really excited to see that. Hopefully we get a couple quail entries in there. I had the opportunity to talk to Nate Reinish a little bit. He's a Grand Master exhibitor and judge with the American Poultry Association. And he made some really good suggestions on how to start getting quail into shows. And the first step is reaching out to the people running the shows and then the judges to make sure that the judges are okay judging it and giving them a copy of the standard well in advance. Basically, we can use the exact same cage space as they have for bantams. If they have pigeon cage space, we can use that as well. And pay the cage fees the same way you do everything else. If the show coordinator, so that could be like the show secretary, depending on who's all running it, and how the club is running their show. They can put a separate class into their sign-up list, so you can have quail in as an unrecognized species because it's being judged by an APA judge. We don't have our official judges out yet, or even judging set up for the ACBA. So if there's people interested in showing, if you're interested in getting, like there's a show in your area you'd like to see have quail, reach out to them, reach out to one of the officers if you don't know who to contact or how to start, and we can get you on the right track and hopefully help get some more quail shows set up for the rest of the year. So, moving on to the next one, which is virtual shows. The Pips and Chicks show is coming up. We start accepting entries May 1st. We close entries in June. And that's one of the bigger quail shows going on right now. It's virtual, so we get a lot of entries from people all over. If you're interested in showing, great way to start out. We'll be putting more information out there soon. And then we're going to be judging it this year based on the ACBA standards. So once the standard of perfection gets released, Michael actually is going to be our judge. So he'll be able to see our standard and put it in action and hopefully get some really good entries in there. So the other thing we have in new business is points for breeders and exhibitors. So the officers had set things up and we worked also with Mason to get things put together. And we were gonna start a point system. So once we've get these shows started, they're starting to pop up already. Basically you can earn points from showing birds. You don't have to, it's completely voluntary, not something any breeder has to participate in, but you're more than welcome to, and there's nothing additional that members really need to do. You get points for showing birds and you get more points for birds that place. So the more quail in the show, and the more competitive the show is, the more points you get. And then there's separate titles, like at, I believe, what I put on there, 200 points are distinguished exhibitors, master exhibitors are 1,000, grandmaster exhibitors are 5,000 points. And you get about 1 point for every 10 quail that you show. You get points for best in reserve of variety, best in reserve of class, and then best in reserve overall quail. So it's meant to be something to encourage people to show their birds, to encourage people to continue to improve their birds and continue to breed towards the standard and use the standard. It's very similar to a lot of different clubs, breeder clubs in the APA world. So it's very similar in structure to the Cochin's breeders, the Americana's breeders, and the APA point system itself. So didn't reinvent the wheel, but pretty excited to see it all kind of play out, and hopefully people will start getting some points as early as this year. So
I have a question.
Go ahead.
On the points, are we gonna give points on the virtual shows?
That's a good question. We can talk about that a little bit more as officers. In the APA realm, you don't get points for virtual shows unless specific breed clubs do it. So like the Cochin's International Breeders Club does give points for virtual shows because they run their own virtual shows. The Americana Breeders Association does not. The APA does not. It's kind of up to us and how we'd want, if they'd be equal to the same as real person shows, if they're less point value because it's easier to do virtual shows, or if it's not counting at all because it's not in person. No, up to suggestions on that one.
I don't see a downside. I mean, it's not like there's virtual shows every month or anything.
Yeah. That was the biggest thing, is we wanted to make it we wanted to make it attainable but not easy to obtain points. Like definitely something to work for and something to be proud of if you get it.
I would say it would probably be a bit more fair to a virtual show to have less points. Because if you think in person, that breeder's taken a lot of time to get to the show and do all that work.
For sure. We can
So
throw,
you-
go ahead.
So you could do the same structure, but for virtual shows, you get half points.
Yeah,
So let's say if you were at a real show and you earn 20 points, because it's virtual, you only get credited for 10.
yeah. I think that's more than fair. Any objections for that? Otherwise, I'll put a clause in for virtual shows into there before we put that out there.
50% value for virtual shows or something like that.
Yeah, I think that's more than fair, because as Mason pointed out, there's a lot more work that goes into a real show.
Oh, yeah. A lot.
There also is in there a junior point system. So, the actual point system for open show exhibitors is geared more towards ACBA shows and APA shows. So people that are going to already set up structured shows and less of your fun shows, your just kind of unstructured fair shows. The junior exhibitors allows for like 4-H, FFA, district shows, fairs, and is a little bit less competitive to get points. So you're getting more points for less birds. And then there's a rollover fee, like a rollover when they turn 18. So I think the way I put it in there, you get 1 junior point is worth, or 5 junior points is worth 1 open point. So when they turn 18, they can get certain amount of open points for all of the junior points that they earned, but it's not the same because it's considerably easier to show at a fair than it is to bring birds to a district show. And it's going to be a lot less competitive, usually in your junior shows. And then they also got 50 points for the titles that they earn as a junior exhibitor. Because there's still is not easy to gain those titles, but
So, question for those of us who have not entered into the world of showing, how are the points collected, and like how are they submitted to? I imagine there'll be a central person that's keeping track of all that. So how does that process work?
yeah. So for general APA shows, it's a little bit more streamlined because they have things more established. So you submit the records usually to the club secretary, and that's going to include things like how many birds for each variety, who won champion and reserve of each variety, and then like how many birds and entries there were overall. And it'll be pretty much the same here. So in bigger shows like Ohio Nationals, usually the breed club secretary is there at the show, able to collect that paperwork. For us, the current plan was I'm gonna get a form put together that you can take to the show, who's ever running the show, whether for that youth, if that's gonna be the fair superintendent, for an ACBA or an APA sanctioned show, that's probably going to be the show secretary. And they'll confirm the number of entries, the people that won, and they'll have to sign it. And then the member can submit that to the secretary to put into the records. Okay. Any other questions on the point system? Okay. And the last thing, I didn't have it on the agenda, I forgot to put it on there. We applied for APA affiliate, like APA affiliate club. So that was $25. It's just allows us to, it gives us 1 nationals meet or 1 like meet a year that we can have as an APA sanctioned show if we want to do that. But it gets us advertised on their website. It gets our link out there, our name out there a little bit more for in the APA world. So nothing major. Sent that out this week. Hopefully we'll hear back from them soon. But Yeah, and that's all we have for new business. The last thing we have is open for discussion and Katernik's kids on there.
Yeah, I just typed that on there. We had told Terry we would help him with the Katernik's Kid project. And then he was sick and I think it kind of just fell to the wayside. So are we gonna do that?
I think we had given him a coupon code that would allow the recipient to get one free junior membership, a free year of junior membership. But I don't see that I don't know if he's been giving out that code or not. I haven't seen any action on the website or anything like that for that. So we may just need to remind him. He may have forgotten about it or was waiting for something from us or something like that. So that's a good point.
Okay, we can definitely, Jennifer, Rebecca, do one of you two want to reach out to Terry and just ask him about it? I know he's been pretty busy lately with stuff, but
Sure, I'll be happy to.
sounds good. Is there any other discussion points, things people have questions or concerns or want to bring up for next meeting or even talk about this meeting yet?
Did you create the form to keep up with the points?
Not yet. It's crunch time a little bit here. So we've got about 3 weeks left before the end of school. At the end of April, I have a ton of free time and I'm gonna hopefully get a spreadsheet up and going for that. So it'll be really easy for you to just put it into a Google form, fill out the form, and it'll automatically keep track of all of everything for us.
Well, I meant to give the show secretary. So if we
Oh,
do, I need to know what to tell her tonight because she needs to put it in the catalog.
yeah, that was something I think we're gonna discuss in the officers meeting. A little bit about what we all need to include for the show packet. Is she looking for something in particular or just like this is how we'd like it run kind of?
No, she's winging it totally. Let me read her text. Because it's a new,
Yeah.
it's called the Western Kentucky Poultry Club. And they have a Facebook group.
I think I saw that. Um
Lindsay Hughes is her name.
yeah, there's Austin Noah, our youth waterfowl judge, is a part of that or attending the swap. I'm not sure. But was pretty excited about it and had shared some things.
Okay, so she asked me if the APA judge can do the judging, and I said yes, but confirm it with him. And she said it's Ben Porter. So she's gonna contact him. This was like middle of the day today. And she said, I haven't met him yet. Full disclosure, this is my first show. So she's not only is it her first show, it's she's putting it together. So I don't know that she knows what she needs in the catalog.
Okay. Yeah, we can
Um,
talk about that a little bit more. We need to discuss a little bit about how the general show structure is going to work, like with the classes and divisions. And then if we get that sorted out, I can put a really nice, really quick and easy thing together for her tonight still. So, but okay, if that's all, we need one motion to adjourn and 1 second.
I motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
Sounds good. Have a good night.